Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining in this webinar series. As Kishore mentioned, yes, today's topic is Kaizen and how to use it for creating a culture of innovation and improvement. Let me just share the screen so that we can. Yeah. So like most lean tools, Kaizen also banks on demands a total employee engagement. A top-down order to improve does not produce the right results, but rather an inner wish from the ranks and file of the workforce to improve creates magic. Kaizen is an approach to activity based on common sense, self-discipline, order, and economy. Kaizen method is a strong contributor and fundamental part of a lean production process model in lean manufacturing. Kaizen refers to any activities that continually improve all business functions or processes and involves every employee from the CEO to the assembly line workers. Labeling industrial or business improvement techniques with the word Kaizen has become a very common practice in Japan and now even into the other countries as well. It also applies to processes, not just the manufacturing functions, but processes such as purchasing and logistics that cross the organizational boundaries into the supply chain. Okay, so today we will try to understand what Kaizen is, what are the three pillars of Kaizen, how do you implement Kaizen, and how do you generate ideas for Kaizen. Finally, we will also discuss how you can create a culture of innovation and improvement using Kaizen. Okay. So Kaizen is taken from two Japanese words, Kai, which literally means change, and Zen, which is good. But it is most often expressed as the continuous improvement. So that's how we name Kaizen. Kaizen is a philosophy of continuous improvement. Lean manufacturers use Kaizen to help eliminate waste. That's the core function people deploy the Kaizen for. With Kaizen, manufacturers continuously improve standardized processes, equipment, and other daily production procedures. Kaizen focuses on eliminating waste, improving productivity, and achieving sustained continual improvement in targeted activities and processes of an organization. This philosophy implies that small incremental changes routinely applied and sustained over a long period do result into the significant improvements. The Kaizen strategy also aims to involve the workers from multiple functions and levels in the organization in working together to address a problem or improve a process. Although primarily associated with manufacturing, business practice Kaizen across all the sectors. Industries including healthcare, finance, psychotherapy, life coaching, governments, and even banking have also adopted the Kaizens. Beyond improving the workflows, Kaizen also helps facilitate a culture of ownership wherein workers identify and correct the inefficiencies. This provides an added benefit of eliminating process waste by reducing the non-value added activities. Okay, so that's the generally Kaizen overall. Let's just quickly take a peek into the history of Kaizen. The history of Kaizen began after the World War II when Toyota first implemented quality circles in its production processes. American business and quality management teachers who visited the country back then partly got influenced with such implementation. And they also influenced their own knowledge even to Toyota and their the employees over there as well. A quality circle is a group of workers performing the same or similar work who meet regularly to identify, analyze, and solve work-related problems. This revolutionary concept called quality circle became popular in Japan in the 1950s. Now it continues to exist in the form of Kaizen groups as well as a smaller worker participation schemes. The term Kaizen actually became famous around the world through the works of a person called Mr. Masaki Imai. Okay. Masaki Imai is a Japanese organizational theorist and management consultant, and his work on quality management, specifically on the Kaizen, is very well known. In 1985, he founded the Kaizen Institute Consulting Group to help the Western companies introduce the concepts, systems, and tools of Kaizen. And even today, the Kaizen Institute works very heavily on this, and they have applied the lean methodology and Kaizen training courses to virtually all business sectors across the globe. Okay. So there's a brief history about the Kaizen. Kaizen is, based upon the 5 founding elements, and these 5 founding elements are teamwork, personal discipline, improved morale, quality circles, and suggestions for improvement. I'm not going to go in detail for all these 5 elements today right now, but as we walk through the rest of the presentation, you will see all these terms coming up and you will get the explanation for them as we go through it. Okay. Kaizen benefits, they always revolve around the employee engagement, improvement, and waste eliminations. Again, this is something which I've been consistently saying, that you pick up any kind of a lean methodology or a lean tool, it will have the 2 major components, or rather 3 major components: employee engagement or employee driven initiatives, improvements overall, it could be into any particular area, and largely a focus on the waste elimination. And that's exactly what even the Kaizen focuses upon. And the benefits also come around these 3 predominant areas. Okay. You can also say the Kaizen results into involving every employee, eliminating waste, improving efficiency, keeping the working environment safe, assuring satisfaction of all the employees, improving teamwork skills, faster problem solving, morale boost of the employees, and so on and so forth. There's several benefits which come out of the Kaizens over here. Okay. So Kaizen, like a house of lean, has got 3 pillars, and these 3 pillars, kind of put together the entire Kaizen system in place. Okay. So the first pillar of the Kaizen is housekeeping, and housekeeping is the process of managing Gemba. Again, people who have not gone through this, Gemba is a Japanese term for the workplace, right? So housekeeping is, by that definition, a process of managing the workplace to foster the continuous improvement. For proper housekeeping, we use the 5S framework. Okay, so 5S is essentially known for improving the shop floors. Muda is the second pillar, and we had earlier webinar even on the Muramuri Muda. These are the lean management tools that hold the resources in a process, machine or people, and which either add or don't add value to the product or service being processed. Okay. Any non-value adding resource is classified as Buddha, and work is defined as a series of value adding tasks needed to convert raw materials into final products. So Kaizen will always focus out upon identifying and eliminating the Buddha. The third pillar on which the Kaizen is rested upon is standardization. And standardization means developing the standards at which production must be performed. A simpler way to think about the standards would be that production will be done only to predefined set specifications. Okay? Standardizations ensure that waste elimination is taking place, costs are reduced, workflows become stable, and productivity is increased. Okay? So now we'll just quickly look into all these 3 pillars slightly more in detail. We will begin along with housekeeping. So 5S is a method of developing a culture that perpetuates a clean and neat and efficient workplace. It's a mean for removing excess tools and material from the workstation and organizing the needed tools and material so that they are easy to locate, to use, and to maintain. In short, 5S is all about locating what you need exactly when you need it, no excess, no shortages. Okay? And 5S framework encompasses sort, set in order, shine, standardize, and sustain 5 specific S's. We are not going to again go in detail because we had a very exhaustive and a complete webinar only on the 5S. Okay? And in case you have not been part of that, you can always search for the Skilltelligent channel on the YouTube, and you will be able to find all these past webinars records over there. Okay? Second pillar, which we had talked about, was Muda. Kaizen will always seek to improve the business processes by eradicating the 7 types of the waste as identified in the lean management. Again, Muda Muramuri, we had discussed more in detail earlier, but just to recap, Kaizen focuses on identifying the root causes of the 7 types of waste and improving processes to eradicate it. And these 7 types are inventory, motion, weight, overproduction, overprocessing, transportation, and so on and so forth. Kaizen waste elimination is based upon the 5 specific principles. Okay? 1, make the waste visible. Second, be conscious of the waste. Third, have someone accountable for identifying waste in each workstation. 4, measure the waste. And 5th, improve the process to eradicate the waste. Principle is very simple. Until and unless the waste is visible and we become conscious about it, and there is somebody accountable for that waste generation, we will not be able to eliminate the waste. And while we do it, if we don't measure the waste and quantify it, we will again not be able to make a improvement over here. So that's the Muda. The third area is standardization. And again, what we talked about earlier, standardization would ensure that the waste elimination is taking place, costs are reduced, workflows become stable, and productivity is increased. Before implementing a standard, Kaizen managers must ensure that it is appropriate for the organization, accepted by all involved in the processes, as attainable and fair, understood by everyone involved, and that the organization is committed to attaining it. Because standardization cannot work only on one person's initiative. It has to be an organization-wide initiative and acceptance of it. Once a standard is adopted, Kaizen requires the organization to continuously review its effectiveness and incrementally improve it or implement the PDCA cycles. Okay. The 3 main areas that need to be considered when developing the standards. 1, tech time, which is the duration given for a certain job to be completed. Second is work sequence, that is the step-by-step order in which all processing assembly work is to be done. And the third is the standard in process stock. That is the optimal number of parts in process at any given time. Okay. So this is the standardization or the third pillar of Buddha. Okay. Needless to say, the management and employees must work together to fulfill the requirements of Kaizen. And for each pillar, there are 3 factors which we should, really focus upon. 1 is the visual management. Second, we should be conscious about the role of the supervisor because he is the frontline leader on the shop floor and he is the actual driver of all these kind of initiatives. And the third part is importance of training and creating a learning organization. If everyone is not trained and they don't feel the need to learn, then these things will not also improve upon. So these 3 factors also have to be considered while implementing the 3 pillars of the Kaizen. Okay. Let's look at the 4 different types of the Kaizens. We all know the Kaizen as a single word, or some people would even know the Kaizen event, but actually there are 4 different types of the Kaizens over here. So first one is the Kaizen TN, second is the Kaizen events, which is the most popular one. The third one is the Kaikaku, and the third one is the Kakushin. Okay. So these are the 4 types of the Kaizen events. Let's go through each of them and understand, and each of them are very interesting, concepts over here. So the first one, Kaizen TN. Okay. Kaizen TN is a bottom-up improvement approach, and it describes a form of improvement where people participate to improve their own processes. This bottom-up type of Kaizen drives a cultural transformation because it requires everyone to think about improvement every day, everywhere. Okay. At its core, Kaizen TN is about actively involving all people in improvement. Again and again, without the involvement of all the people, such kind of the lean concepts really do not work. Okay. So if you want to set out in creating a continuous improvement culture in your organization, you should start with the Kaizen TN. This encourages every member of the workforce, from leadership to frontline workers, to propose changes that can improve the workflow. The idea is that those workers who are in the Gemba or the workplace or real place are those more likely to identify real opportunities for improving the flow of their processes. Okay, so if we have those real workers working at the actual place of process, if they come out with the opportunities for improvement, you would see the real improvement taking place from a bottoms-up approach. Okay. To be successful in the Kaizen TN, we usually look for eliminating the 7 or 8 forms of the waste, which we talked about earlier: defects, overprocessing, overproduction, waiting, transportation, motion, over processing, and so on and so forth. So these are the kind of the waste which we have to focus upon removing it. Okay. The eighth one over here is non-utilization of talent. So even if you have a talent which is sitting idle, then we should also look at it as a waste. Okay. The second one is Kaizen events, the most popular ones, and these are the defined improvements. So unlike the daily Kaizen, a Kaizen event is not about continuous improvement, but it is about a specific process improvement developed over a brief amount of time. Okay. Kaizen events are typically brief, focused improvement projects where people, including the management team, participate in analyzing their value stream maps to solve a specific problem. Okay. While daily Kaizen projects may be small in scope or even somewhat, very quick and spontaneous, a Kaizen event demands thoughtful planning by team leaders involved. Okay. These events might last for several days or even weeks, and they target specific challenges that once solved could lead to a step change in the efficiency, quality, or performance. So, of course, whatever the Kaizen events we do, they must be aligned with the broader operational goals and processes to have a sustained impact. So that's the second part, the second type of the Kaizen, Kaizen event. Okay. Third type is Kaikaku, okay, which means radical change. So sometimes, the small changes are not enough to drive the improvements. An organization needs to be competitive. And that is when it is time to turn to Kaikaku. Okay. And unlike Kaizen, which focuses on incremental changes, this one describes a process where an entire organization is focused on a radical process transformation. Rather than improving a process, Kaikaku may demand the organization that it should move to an entirely new process. And examples of this could include moving from manual to automated production or embarking on a digital transformation that drives the complete workplace collaboration. So any kind of a radical change which can be brought in is, the third type of the Kaizen, and this has to be enterprise or the organization wide. Okay. Hiroyuki Hirano, the person who developed the 5S system, he also has defined the 10 commandments for the Kaikaku. Okay. And I'll just quickly go through these 10 commandments. Throw out traditional concepts of manufacturing methods. Think of how the new methods will work and not how it won't work. Don't accept excuses. Totally deny the status quo. Be ready to start new. Don't seek perfection. A 50% implementation rate is fine as long as it is done on the spot. Correct mistakes the moment they're found. Don't spend money on Kaikaku. Problems give you a chance to use your brains. Ask why 5 times. Ideas from 10 people are better than one person's knowledge. And at the end, the 11th one is Kaikaku knows no limits. Okay? So essentially what it is saying is that go for a radical transformation. Okay? Don't go for the small incremental improvement. That's what the third type of the Kaizen talks about. Okay? The fourth one. Kakushin is now the fourth stage, which is the breakthrough innovation. So if Kaikaku is revolutionary, Kakushin is a game changer. Okay? Kakushin happens when you move to an entirely new way of doing something. It is about the big breakthrough that changes everything. Okay? Changing what is done. For an example, Kaikaku is about moving from manual to automated production, and Kakushin might advocate switching over to the 3D printing those materials directly, okay, which demand the new skills, new infrastructure, and everything in the organization. So it's basically, a kind of a breakthrough innovation versus just the radical changes over here. So Kakushin demands management challenges. It actually demands that the management challenges their own assumptions about why they do business in a certain way. It will require a cultural change that can commit to a new way of doing the things. Brainstorming and analysis are the two primary tools of the Kakushin. So these are the 4 types of the Kaizens which take place. Okay? Normally, we all remember about the Kaizen events, but the Kakushin, your Kaikaku, and Tian, these 3 are not normally known to most of the people overall. Additionally, there is Gemba Kaizen, And I'll just try to explain this also. Gemba Kaizen, once again, is a Japanese concept of continuous improvement designed for enhancing process and reducing waste. Within a lean context, Gemba simply means the location or the workplace where a real work is performed, or maybe even the real value is created, while Kaizen relates to continuous improvements. So this, if you put it together, then it will become Gemba Kaizen, which is constantly striving to improve processes, promote discipline, and standardization. Okay, the Kaizen Institute, which is promoting the Kaizen, is constantly striving to improve its processes, promotes discipline and standardization, and that institute believes the processes in place for solving problems are more valuable than the solutions themselves. So that's why they advocate that do the Gemba Kaizen, do the problem solving, put in the processes in the place which will ensure that the problem solving is constantly taking place and it is being done at the real place of working. Okay, so that's what the Gemba Kaizen is. Okay. Gemba Kaizen would once again embrace the skills of a whole organization, and it will be inviting and rewarding the employee contributions and even understanding the smallest improvement which can over a period of time create the greater value. Okay, so that's what the Gemba Kaizen is all about. In a large organization where you have many workers, many work cells, you have a cellular manufacturing also going on. It is advisable that you have a setup, you set up a structure for managing the Kaizen using a Kaizen steering committee. Okay, so what I have laid out over here is a organization chart for setting up a Kaizen committees and the Kaizen organization overall. Okay, this Kaizen organization should have the external Kaizen consultants, because these consultants have typically received wider consultation training than the managers, and they have spent most of their time advising the people. That's why they are also highly qualified and experienced. Sometimes they're also the subject matter experts on specific areas. Other members into this organization would be Kaizen manager and coordination team along with the Kaizen coaches. Every organization would need a coach, a Kaizen coach, because the best way to learn a process is to study from a person who has been successful in these Kaizen activities before also. Then you also constitute the Kaizen pillar expert teams, and pillar expert teams are nothing but a group of codependent team members who with not only high level of expertise, but also mastery of the improvement processes. Okay, and these Kaizen, then you would also have the Kaizen action teams, which would strategize, prioritize, assign tasks, and even evaluate the progress. It takes easy and attainable steps that assist it to move forward. Okay, these teams could be looking after imposing OEE, quality improvement, SMART, safety, and so on and so forth. The teams are also responsible for creating the momentum through working on manageable size Kaizen projects. Instead of taking the huge projects, they will always break down the projects into the smaller sizes, which are manageable. Okay, so finally, you would also have a full Kaizen department and line managers at Gemba, that is the workplace, who would be managing out the multiple Kaizen efforts by the different teams into the organization. Okay. Again, needless to say, all employees in an organization have responsibilities for two aspects of quality. One is the process improvement, and second is the process control. Okay. Control involves taking action on deviations to maintain a given process state, and in absence of the signals indicating that the process has gone astray, control is achieved by adhering to established standard operating procedures. So if something is going wrong, I would always fall back to my SOPs to work accordingly so that I can come back into the standard way of working. Okay. In contrast, improvement requires experimentally modifying the process to produce better results through the innovation and Kaizen. Okay. So if I look at this particular chart, you have the innovation and you have the maintenance. In between lies the entire Kaizen, which basically balances out the innovation and the maintenance or standardization overall. Okay. Whenever we identify an improvement, it will also result into the changes into the SOPs, because that will also reflect now the new way of doing the particular things over here. And Kaizens again, if you look in this chart, it starts from the workers and goes all the way to the top management, involves almost everybody through the entire organization. Okay. So how do you plan a Kaizen event? Okay. Kaizen event planning has a lot of steps involved into it. Most are very simple to understand, and that's why I'm not going to go into detail of all these steps. But if I just sequentially just quickly read out, then you should start with hiring or training your facilitator who would drive the Kaizens, gain the commitment understanding from the management, define the boundaries of the event, define what it is you want to improve. Communication is a key point. Create your Kaizen teams, define and implement the measures of performance, do the pre-event trainings, also do the pre-event planning, then actually carry out the Kaizen event. When the Kaizen events are completed or the Kaizen activities are completed, make a presentation, let everybody know what has been achieved and not achieved. Congratulations have to follow if there have been certain achievements. Review and improve upon those Kaizens which have been done, do a retrospect, and then again rinse and repeat so that you can again continue to improve in a cyclic manner over here. So this is a straightforward way of planning out the Kaizen events over here. However, there are standardized steps for executing the Kaizen. The first 5 steps, which is the select the theme, plan the schedule, grasp the present situation, establish the target, and analyze the cause and identify corrective actions, are planning in the PDCA cycle, or the steps, the part of the planning step in the PDCA cycle. While the rest 3, implement corrective action, corresponds back to the do step, evaluate the result corresponds back to check step, and the standardize and follow up belong to the act part of the PDCA overall. So these are the 8 steps which we go through into the Kaizen overall. If you're carrying out a Kaizen, and if you're carrying out a complete, a Kaizen event, which is a predetermined improvement, then in that case, you would actually start by setting up a 4 or 5 days agenda. And this agenda could cover the setting up of the expectations, training, documenting the current state processes, creating the value stream maps or any other flow diagrams, analyze the current steps, brainstorm upon the ideas about what can be done, carry out the root cause analysis, design the future state, implement the improvements, experiment along with them, simulate the new processes, train the participants if the simulations have been successful to carry out those things, and actually implement the solution, and at the same time also measure the future state. Okay. Having done that, also create and implement the standards based upon the new learnings and the new improvements brought in. So if you want to do the planned events, then you should lay down the agenda something like this and then proceed accordingly to implement the Kaizens over here. Okay. This is a standard Kaizen report which details the issue, analysis, conclusion, before and after situation, cost benefit analysis, and so on and so forth. Okay. So Kaizen actually, while it still requires some data to be analyzed, and you always should focus upon the cost benefit analysis over here, right? You don't want to spend something which doesn't produce the result, or you don't want to improve something which is not going to benefit you in any way. So that cost benefit analysis is important. What this simple format still tries to highlight is that don't complicate the whole process of improvement. Carry it out into the smaller sizes with simple approaches of analysis, root cause analysis, and actually experimenting with the improvements, and then standardize them. Okay. So this report format is a very simple way of explaining how our Kaizens have been successful. Okay. People also create the Kaizen boards, which is a visual tool, and it teams and organizations to manage their continuous improvement efforts. Okay. Kaizen boards and Kanban boards, they both can be, easily confused because they both look similar somehow, but teams choose to represent their Kaizen work on their Kanban boards also. Reason is that they would say that I will need to do so many Kaizens, and I have done so many, I'm working upon so many Kaizens, and I've completed so many Kaizens. So that 3 steps also represents something similar to a Kanban. So that's why people will also use the Kanban board to superimpose the Kaizens on top of it. Okay. Kaizen boards should be displayed at the common areas, and they can also be used in the morning meetings to retain focus on the continuous improvements. So this is another thing which happens as part of the Kaizen implementation. Okay. Now, there are several Kaizen tools, and these tools help employees and management implement and monitor continuous improvement efforts in the workplace. Okay. Kaizen tools are primarily used in the manufacturing industry to eliminate the 8 waste. We also call them, Kenwood. We also call them downtime. They all represent the first letter of one type of the waste. Like downtime would be defect, overproduction, waiting, non-utilized talent, transportation, inventory, motion, and extra processing. So these are the acronyms which are identified for the 8 waste. Okay. And we try to optimize the business processes for global competitiveness. So these are some of the tools which we use over here. Since the Kaizen means change for the better, using these tools results in more efficient ways of doing the task and more effective communication between the shifts, work areas, and organizational levels. These tools, they can be a variety of the checklist. And these checklists, I just mentioned some of them, like the 7 waste or the Gemba or the 5S audit or safety. But they can also be the 5 whys, problem solving tools, 7 QC tools for the statistical data analysis, 8D reports, FMEA, DMAC, and so on and so forth. So anything which helps you to recognize the problem, solve the problem systematically, and sustain the results of that particular solution is what becomes a tool for the Kaizen overall. Okay, so these are the Kaizen tools to be used. Now the big question comes in is that how do we generate the Kaizen ideas? Okay, we already have discussed that the Kaizen can be of any 4 types, which is Kaizen TN, which is the bottoms up improvement, Kaizen events, which is the defined improvement, Kai Kakao, which is the radical change, or Kakushin, which is the breakthrough innovation. Okay, so let's look at some of the simple examples of Kaizen, and then let's also talk about how you can generate the Kaizen ideas among all these 4 types. Okay. So the first one which I've got over here is a very simple idea to ensure that the extra motions of bend and twist to reach to the bubble wrap on the shop floor or the floor is avoided. So what has been done is that the entire bubble roll is put at a proper height and in a way where it is easy to unroll it and use it into packing directly. So very simple idea, no rocket science into it, but it definitely takes away the fatigue, it takes away the extra motions, and is also more ergonomic to work with. Okay, so this is one example. Second example, again, nothing from the manufacturing. This one ensures that when you move the curtain into a patient examination room, then that time, how do you ensure that the curtain is not obstructing the working while examining the patient? So what has been done over here is that Velcros have been used and they have been stuck to the table. So it doesn't have to be put onto the top of the table, but it can hang neatly without any kind of obstruction. Is it again a rocket science? No, very simple idea. But what it is ensuring is that there is an ease of working, and it also continuously enables the patient privacy as well. Okay. Another simple example, very often you would see that I have to measure something and I would take out a measure tape and I would continuously measure with that. But when I know that I have to do a standard measurement, can't I create a tool which is of a standard length and use that to see that whether my length is proper or not? Okay, so very simple idea, but effective. What is unique about this? Unique is that this kind of the ideas cannot come from the top managers. These kind of the ideas come only from the guys who are working on the shop floor. And if you give them the freedom to think and to implement certain ideas, they will come out with some kind of the small, such kind of the improvements, which will make their life easy and also faster, right? So this is another, simple example of improving the measuring system by standardizing a set gauge tool. Okay. The next example is again something similar. To implement the FIFO lanes have been drawn up, and this just by drawing up the FIFO lanes and keeping the material accordingly, it simplifies the entire process of managing the FIFO. Okay. So that's the another Kaizen over here. This is a classical example of the 5S. what has been done over here is that everything has been sorted out and everything has a PEEP. I'm sure most of you would recall, PEEP is place for everything and everything in its place. So now if you see over here, suddenly by just having everything in its own place, the entire place is more manageable, more easily, things can be easily retrieved or searched around. And this improves the way you are working over here. You're not working through the clutter. Okay. So this is again a fine example of 5S done through the Kaizens. Okay. One more example, probably the last one. This is an example where the quick changeover has been improved just because ensuring that the die is not hidden somewhere. It is easily retrievable and easily accessible. Okay. So just by doing some certain simple things and making the arrangement for storing the die in an appropriate way, the quick changeover has been initiated over here or has been improved upon. Okay. So as you would have noticed that none of these ideas need to be very complex. Anything which helps in improving the process of eliminating waste would qualify for the Kaizen. Okay. Normally, to mitigate the 5S audit issues, one can look up at solutions using the Kaizen approach, which could be involving the team and standardizing the solution after the validations. Okay. A lack of place for keeping extra material may result into looking up at the reasons for extra material, and team may end up streamlining the entire material flow rather than just sorting and keeping that in a proper way. Now, this is a huge Kaizen, which results into savings and also into the smoother process. Because if my material flow is streamlined and I'm not supposed to maintain the extra inventory, my cost of carrying the inventory comes down, and also my entire place is decluttered, making my process more smoother. Okay. Gemba walks and management walks can also help you to look up at the Kaizens to solve the workplace problems. As you do the Gemba walk, you have a focused approach of resolving a particular problem. There you will identify a lot of areas to improve upon, and each of those improvement areas could be your Kaizen ideas. Okay. SMART and the quick changeovers. They will always require more than one Kaizen to be done to convert the sequential activities into parallel or external internal activity separation. Okay. Some Kaizens may be required to study, analyze data, and identify approaches to reduce the number of methods or time taken per step so that the changeover can be faster. These are nothing but the Kaizens. So every time you want to get into any kind of improvement activity using any of these kind of the areas, you will end up into generating the Kaizen ideas. Okay. Weight and loss elimination projects, they're again very good candidates for the Kaizen. I want to remove the waste of the inventory. I want to remove the waste of waiting. I need to understand that why the waiting is taking place, whether it is for the lack of material, lack of the instructions, planning, equipment downtime, resource not being available, and what can be done that this wait doesn't happen in future, right? That again is a good Kaizen project overall. Okay. Line balancing, improving manpower deployment, or machine utilization, all these are the sources of the Kaizen ideas. Safety, visual controls, they all will require some kind of the study, detailing, experimenting, standardizing, creating the solutions, and so on and so forth. And they all, I can term them as the Kaizen ideas. So in short, any efforts to improve the working process or standardizing the work would always result into the Kaizen ideas. So Kaizen ideas, the moment you start looking around and you go with a very clear picture that I need some kind of improvement over here. No, I need to radically change the entire thing. No, I need to have a breakthrough over here, right? All these things will end up generating the Kaizen ideas. Okay. I think in one of the earlier webinar, I had mentioned that if a consultant actually walks into your organization, he looks around for half an hour and suddenly starts talking about certain things which can be improved upon. We always get fascinated and say that, hey, this guy is really genius. He really understands. But actually, it is not anything of that sort. What all he is doing is he's applying the standard techniques, standard rules of the game, and according to that, identifying what is missing. Okay, you can also do the same thing, and that's exactly where the Kaizen ideas actually come up from. Okay, so that's how you generate the Kaizen ideas. Let's also now see how do you create a culture of innovation and improvement. Okay, so first thing, not all innovation can be earth-shattering. We all believe that innovations have to be breakthrough, they have to be, the game changers altogether. No. In fact, most of the innovative ideas in the businesses are very small, but they drive forward a new and improved way of performing. Okay? If a company encourages a small innovation on an ongoing basis, then it can pave the path for driving the larger breakthroughs also and establish a Kaizen culture. Right? Fundamentally, innovation would mean that new. Innovation would mean something new, and innovation can be a new idea, a new methodology, or even an entirely new way of doing the business. While it is tempting to think of innovation solely in terms of entirely new breakthroughs, innovation can also refer to incremental changes. Innovation can and should build upon things that have already been done. You don't have to start from the ground up. Okay? Kaizen, as we have seen, comes from the Japanese word kai and zen, meaning good change or continuous improvement. It's also popularly translated as continuous improvement or a small incremental improvement. And same thing even the innovation also does. It's a small incremental improvements. Okay. While these two ideas, innovation and Kaizen, complement one another, Kaizen actually lays out an action plan for innovation by providing the steps for solving problems and empowering the workforces to use them. Okay? So if you have the Kaizens going on, it will also bring in the innovation and it will make the innovations more progressive and more effective. Right? There is also a challenge. We very easily fall into the trap of believing that a larger scale innovation is actually more preferred to continuous improvement. Okay? And normally we will always argue that why should I just do a 1% daily improvement when in one shot I can have 1,000% gain via some big innovation. However, what happens is the Kaizens would lay the groundwork that encourages the radical innovation. Okay? So before the radical innovations happen, you need to have a focus on the daily improvements, which in short ensures that a mindset in the workforce starts generating and the necessary processes needed to recognize and act on the innovation are put in place. So Kaizens actually help you into laying down the base work, or as I said earlier, an action plan by providing the steps for solving the problems and empowering the workforces to use them. Okay? Kaizens encourage healthy habits such as curiosity, problem solving, persistence, challenging the status quo, and workforce engagement. Okay, and there is another measurable reason to encourage daily improvement over the breakthrough innovation. While a breakthrough innovation sounds very promising, it pales against the result of all the compounded daily gains. Even if you look up in this chart, I may have a 10x kind of a jump into my through my breakthrough innovation, but after that, if I don't sustain it, it will slide back to zero. Okay. But however, if I have got a continuous 1% daily increment over 90 days, it could bring me 90% improvement also, theoretically. But even if it doesn't achieve me 90%, it will still achieve me, 40, 50% improvement, which is far superior than a one-shot increment of 10% and petering out. So the value of the small change versus the big breakthrough should not be negated overall. Okay? How do we measure the innovation? Continuous improvement would depend upon the steady flow of the incoming ideas. And if we have created a Kaizen culture, then we can also expect a steady flow of the incoming ideas. Okay? So, of course, if we look, the only way to gauge our effectiveness is to measure the incoming ideas and then track them over the time to ensure your workers are truly engaged in improvement. However, the number of ideas coming in is not a solid metrics for measuring the impact of the innovation. Okay, and it is critically important to put metrics in place to gauge the effectiveness of an innovation and its impact on the organization. Metrics will vary depending on the way of organization in which you are innovating, and they can include three major ones: return on investment metrics, which addresses the resource investments and financial returns, and these metrics can also help in recognizing and justifying the value of an innovative initiative and the organization's overall investment in innovation. The second metrics would be organizational capability metrics, and this can focus on the infrastructure and process of innovation, can help projects build repeatable approaches to the innovation. And the third and last metrics, useful metrics, can be the leadership metrics, which focuses on the behaviors that the senior managers exhibit to support an organization's culture of innovation. Now, if these three metrics are in place, then we can definitely measure that how effective our innovation overall is. Once these particular metrics are in place, it is also very important to regularly check in to analyze how the innovation is meeting the project goals. We can use the PDCA cycles as a lean tool that can be used to drive the progress and also give the success over here. Okay, so this is how each of the steps would work into this. Then there can also be the radical process improvements. Okay, once this Kaizen culture has laid the groundwork for innovation to flourish, it can also become more achievable to successfully implement a breakthrough innovation or a large-scale transformation. Unlike the Kaizen, which focuses on incremental changes, Kaikaku describes a process where an entire organization focuses on radical process transformation. This might include, for an example, transforming a complete production line, including machinery, layout, and people, through training to improve the processes. Okay, so Kaizen aims to improve the way things are done, and the Kaikaku drives an organization to totally rethink the way things are done. That's a fundamental difference between these two things and a radical process improvement. Okay, in fact, the first step of implementing a Kaizen culture within an organization is itself a Kaikaku event, because you're radically transforming the thinking, saying that let's improve. Okay, so that itself can be a Kaikaku event. It is a complete different rethinking on how things are done. And once this radical transformation has occurred, it can be always fine-tuned over a period of time with the continuous improvement processes. Okay. The next thing which comes into building a culture of the innovation and improvement is build a team that innovates. Okay. Whether you are currently focused on sweeping innovation or continuous daily improvements, or maybe even both, it is important to develop your people to look for ways to drive the company improvements forward. Okay. If you want to support a culture of innovation, work to encourage the following habits. There are 5 habits which we'll talk about. One is responsible risk taking. New is risky, everybody agrees, but a workforce that is allowed to take some risks and encounter some failures is gaining knowledge, and then that can drive the future successes. Until and unless I have the risk taking capability and I fail somewhere, I'll not gain the knowledge. So that's the responsible risk taking. The second part is the empowered input. By rewarding initiatives and decision making, our workforce and leaders can be encouraged to change the things for the better. So that's a second part of building the team that innovates. Third, addressing the challenges. When a problem arises, does your workforce really look for solutions, or look for the solution themselves, or look to the management? When your team is focused on searching for the problems themselves, they're actually actively looking for the solutions and improving. So that's the team which will innovate better. Right? The fourth one is experimentation. Not every innovation will pan out the first time it is implemented. It may or may not be successful in the first go. Okay? By encouraging the experimentation and measuring the progress or the success of experimentation, ideas can be fine-tuned over the time. So that's the fourth criteria. Okay? The fifth one is ongoing discussions. Teams that talk about the improvements they're exploring and who share the lessons learned are guiding the future progress. So if we have these 5 things, the 5 characteristics into our team: responsible risk taking, empowered input, addressing challenges, experimentation, and ongoing discussions, we can be sure that this team will continue to innovate. The next thing which comes into the whole thing is increasing the employee engagement. Employee engagement is crucial to any kind of a progress or any kind of improvement to be brought in. Okay? So companies that truly embrace the Kaizen, the bulk of improvement, from surfacing the problems and opportunities to designing, testing, and implementing countermeasures, are done by the people who do the work. Okay? It cannot be a top-down approach. It has to be a bottoms-up approach. In most organizations, however, what happens is improvements are kind of mandated by the supervisors, managers, and senior leaders. And this organizational behavior actually ends up having certain different kind of key consequences. So the first thing, the people doing the work become the numb order takers versus the engaged problem solvers. They just follow the orders, whatever has been given to them. The improvement is often merely a change, not a true improvement. So people, some manager would have said that change this, they would do that, whether that improves the thing or not, that is never guaranteed. Okay, because the heart and soul of the people doing it is not there. The improvement is resisted because it's being forced on people who had no involvement in designing it. So I don't even believe into it. I don't think that this solution is going to really work. Yet I'm doing it because my boss has told me. In that kind of a mandated situation, Kaizens really don't work. So Kaizens have to be done by the people who actually do the work. Okay. So Kaizen, in other words, is a highly effective means to boost the employee engagement by meeting the three basic human needs and very simple needs. The first, need to connect. Second, the need to be creative. And the third, need to be in control. Okay. This last one often, gives a scare to the leaders because they fear that they will lose the control and anarchy will start coming in. People will not follow their orders. But actually, if you properly execute the Kaizen, the frontliners are given control within clearly defined boundaries, and that boundaries can be set by the leadership themselves. Okay. Kaizen can bring a transformation, but requires both leadership development and also a disciplined problem solving and improvement process. Okay. If we don't have a discipline of constantly solving the problem and improving upon it, we don't have the leadership development, the Kaizen can peter out and it may not sustain for a longer period. Okay. Kaizen events, highly structured improvement activities are an effective shaping tool and the way to shift culture and begin reaping the significant benefits from achieving both high levels of employee engagement and rapid results. If you want employees to engage, you must create the conditions for the engagement to occur, and creating a proper Kaizen culture is the best way to achieve those kind of the engagements. Okay, so this is how we increase the engagement of employees using the Kaizen. Remember, connect, creativity, and control. The three C's over here are very crucial in ensuring that your employees get engaged and they take the leadership in carrying out the innovative ideas and the continuous improvement over here. So to summarize, Kaizen is a philosophy regarding the processes that continuously improve the operations and involve all employees. Foundation of the Kaizen consists of the 5 founding elements: teamwork, personal discipline, improved morale, quality circles, and suggestions for improvement. There are 3 pillars of Kaizen: housekeeping, Muda, and standardization. And there are 4 types of the Kaizens. Kaizen Tian, which is a bottoms-up approach; Kaizen event, which is a defined improvement; Kaikaku, which is the radical change; and Kakushi, a breakthrough innovation. Okay, so friends, Kaizen can help in creating a culture of innovation and improvement, but for that we need to ensure baby steps improvement to start with. Have a value for the small changes versus the big breakthroughs, establish proper measurements, build a team that innovates, and increase the employee engagement by providing them opportunity to connect, create, and be in control. Okay. Oro University and Skilltelligent can undertake more detailed training to your teams on various types of the Kaizens and even provide some kind of a consulting support to implement them on your shop floor. We would also be shortly coming out with some Kaizen competitions where various teams from the different organizations can showcase their Kaizen benefits accrued and learn from others. Kishore might be making some necessary announcements in the due course, maybe over a period of time. And as Kishore had mentioned into the last webinar also, we're shortly launching a certified lean manufacturing supervisor course. We will be putting up the details on the websites and the social media shortly apart from the direct emails. So thank you very much for joining today's session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Those who do want to know about the earlier sessions can search for the Skilltelligent session channel on the YouTube, and you will find all the recordings of the past sessions. There are 18 sessions so far. This is the 19th one. And thank you very much. And if there are any questions, Kishore, probably we can take them up now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the presentation. Let me just share with all the participants, and many of the participants are asking for the presentation. Yes, post this session, we will be sharing the presentation with you all, maybe by today evening itself. We have been getting some questions, sir. So let me just go through. The first questions, after 4 mentioned Kaizen by you, which type of Kaizen are more effective?
So I think each Kaizen would have its own purpose and benefit. Okay, so if we want to do the bottom-up improvement, the Kaizen TN can help in over there in increasing the participation and also to improve the processes of the participants. Those kind of the Kaizens help and also focus on removal of the waste. If we have very specific process improvements to be developed over a brief period of time, we would do the Kaizen events. And they are more common right now because a lot of people, identify that this is something which in a focus we want to improve upon. So Kaizen events become, the right one over there. If you want to bring a radical process transformation and you feel that the small changes are not really sufficient for you, you need a, organization-wide change into the entire thing. You want a radical change, then the Kaikaku kind of the Kaizens are, more preferred. And if you think that you have reached to a level where you really need the big breakthroughs to be competitive or to stay relevant in the market, then the Kakushain is probably the right approach for that. So all the 4 of them are effective in their own way. It depends upon the situation in which you want to apply it and the purpose you want to use them for.
Thank you. Second question, how do we implement Kaizen in our organization?
So you will have to start with, some kind of a initially training into your organization, apprising your management and apprising your workforce about what is Kaizen, how the Kaizens are carried out, how do you measure them, how do you monitor them, and so on and so forth. So understand the entire Kaizen process. So some Kaizen training in your organization to start one will be important over there. What can be done is that once these trainings have been carried out, certain activities can be done or some studies can be done in the organization which could identify the areas needing improvement. Once they have been identified and you have formed the Kaizen teams from that particular workplace or from that location, then we can sit down along with them and let them ideate over there and come out with what can be done to solve this particular problem or how to improve upon it. So that's how you actually kick-start the Kaizen. Okay, it's very important that you connect along with the people on the shop floor who can also tell you that how the things can be improved. You let their creativity flow so they can also look at the different options and let them control the whole process of the Kaizen. Kaizen cannot be controlled from the top down. So please resist trying to control it from the top down. Let your Kaizen team actually drive the entire thing. And for that, provide them the necessary trainings. Okay.
Thank you. Next question. How do you start a Kaizen activities with a small team members and a small organization of less than 50 employees?
For Kaizen, there is no limit. You could be even 5 people and you still could be doing a lot of Kaizens. You could be even 5,000 people and you may be doing no Kaizens. So Kaizen is not restricted by the size of the team or the organization or number of employees. Okay. What is important is that does your team, does your organization understand the need for improvement? And if they understand the need for improvement and they have undergone the training on the Kaizen, how to actually carry out the Kaizen, then they can, start doing the Kaizen activities. It's not a rocket science. As I showed you some of the examples, simple improvements, our workforce might be doing even on a day-to-day basis. But most of the time, we don't actually recognize that. So even if you start by recognizing those small improvements, make them to standardize it, make them to formal, introduce them as the formal changes to your processes. They also could be the starting point for Kaizens into your organization. Okay, so you could start simple and small and then grow into that particular part.
Thank you. Next question. What is a Kaizen event and how do you implement Gemba?
So Kaizen event, as I had said, that it is a specific process improvement or a defined improvement, which fundamentally means that I've already identified a particular area or a particular process or a particular activity to be improved upon. And I'm carrying out certain resolutions over there. I'm identifying certain improvement opportunities over there, experimenting over there, developing a solution and applying it. That becomes my Kaizen event. Okay. So Kaizen event is a well-defined area to improve upon. It's a defined improvement. How do you implement it in Gemba? I think that's the question which you asked.
Yes, sir.
Right. So Gemba is nothing but the workplace, right? Wherever you are working, the real place where the value is created is the Gemba. So to implement it into it, any Kaizen will have to be implemented on the real workplace only. It cannot be anywhere else, right? So you would essentially focus out by implementing that Kaizen into the workplace by saying that, okay, I have identified the solution. The solution is ready. We are doing certain experiments on it. Those experiments also have been successful. And now I've standardized it. And this standard thing is to be applied into the real place of working in the Gemba. And I'm also changing my standard operating procedures. The work instructions are around that, and certain other guidelines which go with the new change now to be introduced over here. So that's how we implement the Kaizen into a Gemba over there.
Thank you. Next question. Is it a certified course like ISO? Are you conducting training session, documentation, and thereafter audit, and finally issuing certificate and continual improvement?
For the Kaizen?
Yes, for the Kaizen.
No, so Kaizen is not like a ISO 9000 at all. It's not a certification. Kaizen is a culture of continuous improvement. Kaizen doesn't result into any kind of a certification per se. What it results rather is into a culture, a change in the culture to ensure that your organization develops a mindset and the whole set of the workforce is aligned towards continuously improving your existing processes. Okay, so you gain the benefit out of that by improved working, lower cost, lower waste, lower losses, higher profitability, higher productivity, and so on and so forth. You don't gain a certificate out of that because Kaizen is a very small activity and it is not geared up from that angle. You document it only from the angle so that in future, if somebody else is doing something, then that documentation helps in standardizing the efforts. And then accordingly, you can ensure that everybody follows the same improvement which you have brought in via your Kaizen. So that's why you do the documentation. The documentation can result into one-point lessons. It can result into the SOPs. It can result into work instructions. It can result into method improvement. It could be anything, but it's not a certification.
Okay. Linked to the same question, sir. Then how do you quantify this?
Quantify Kaizens.
Yes, quantify Kaizen.
I don't know. Let me understand.
It is related to the same question previously, which we had just offered about the certification.
Okay. So from that angle, quantification over here would be in terms of the benefits you have achieved. Okay. So what is the cost benefit analysis I do on that? And what benefits I have achieved against the cost put behind it. My cost could be small investment done into creating a small tool, or the efforts spent by the team, the time is spent by that particular team, some changes into the method and processes which may require some investment into some small equipment or something else. Against that cost, what are the benefits I've got? Benefits in terms of, is my waste reduced? Is my wait period lesser now? Is the quality improving? Is it becoming more safer? Is it becoming faster to work upon? So that's how then you look up at the cost benefit ratio over here. And you quantify whether my Kaizen has been successful or not.
Thank you. Next question. What is the difference between Kaizen and Kobetsu Kaizen?
Not too much. So on the Kobetsu Kaizen is more on the TPM side. And that particular one will be more towards the maintenance and focus upon that, but not really dramatically different over here. We can discuss about that. It will take quite some time, but we can discuss about it separately. So If I can take this offline with the concerned participant, then that will be something which we can do. Or when we cover the TPM, when we put up the, I think we did cover it into TPM if I'm not mistaken. We did cover it. Or I can take it
We
offline.
had. Yes, we had covered.
Offline.
Yeah, okay.
I can take
So
it.
finally, we have come to the end of the session, sir, for today. Thank you, sir, for apprising us on Kaizen. We have learned today 5 foundational elements of Kaizen, different types of Kaizen, planning a Kaizen event, creating Kaizen board, Kaizen tools, generating ideas along with some real-time examples. I'm sure the webinar would help all of us in understanding the importance of developing culture of innovation and improvement in the organization. Our next webinar will be on the coming Thursday, that is on 22nd of October, same time, and the topic would be world-class manufacturing. So in our next webinar, we'll be talking about the what makes a world-class manufacturing. And next webinar itself, on that day, we will be announcing the dates for our short-term courses that we are starting from in some time. So we'll be announcing the dates in coming webinar. I take this opportunity to thank Apul sir for being with us and apprising us on this subject. I would like to thank all the participants and look forward to see you again in the next week. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.